Well, 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 look who it is. It's me, May. Remember me? The cat lady. Today, I've come to you with a new whole thing. Like, I have a new computer. I had to get a new computer because my old one exploded. That's right. Sometimes computers explode and you need to duck and run quickly from the room. The only thing that exploded was the computer. Unfortunately, I did have to replace the computer, but now we're in a replaced computer zone.
From your independent digital supplier, you can get hardware and software from one source without any hocus pocus.
Because of this replaced computer, there are so many wonderful things I can do, like make tier lists. But understand that 2022 is the year where May doesn't give a shit anymore. That's right, kiddos. Today, I'm doing the Tyler Perry tier list. Now, I don't believe this has all of his movies on there because I guess the people who make the tier list are not the most comprehensive of people, but that's fine. I'm not gonna hold them to it. I do, however, I must make it known, I know probably more about the Tyler Perry movies than the majority of YouTube critics. See, years ago, little old May, baby May if you want to call her that, made a video about how Tyler Perry's movies actually exhibit an artfulness in that they are all kind of the same brand of buck wild and kind of bad morals.
Oh, bring it on. You don't know me. I'm from the project. Come on. What the hell is your problem? Come on. Shut up.
But these bad morals are very often disguised as like empowerment and religion. And so there's a lot of spooky stuff in there about all those things. And that's wonderful. We love him for that. However, and this is a big however, the big thing to know about Tyler Perry is Madea is a thing. Now, Madea, if you don't know, is his kind of, he dresses like a woman.
Old woman, put my car down now!
Okay.
And he pretends to be a grandma. And this grandma is kind of the godlike figure of his universe. So Tyler Perry is a filmmaker from Atlanta, and he primarily used to do theater. He did theater for a really, really long time. He ended up making the swap to film, and with the swap to film, he ended up meeting way more success than he made with theater, even though he still continues to do theater, I think, to this day. He's also one of the main founding figures of the Atlanta film scene. Like, he's one of the, more prominent studio figures in that area. Matter of fact, I think Black Panther shot stuff at Tyler Perry's studios, because, of course they did.
Wakanda forever.
So it's very strange, because, his movies are bad, yes, but also they're great, and also they're so bad they're good, and also the hypermoralism makes them kind of evil sometimes, and very genuinely kinda awful, but also amazing.
Medea.
And he is one of the primary figures for, the Atlanta film scene. So he has significance and relevance. There's no way he doesn't. I think a lot of critics want to watch a Tyler Perry movie and be like, I don't care. Fuck Tyler Perry. I don't care what he's doing, and I don't really want to engage with his work. And you know what? I think that that's kind of lazy. So I say we analyze his work, and I've been a big proponent of that for the long time. Matter of fact, I'm all about cultural anthropology, which is to say I might not like your art, but I'm gonna understand it, and all the other things that I need to know. So with that, I think it's time to go through and rank every film that Tyler Perry has made with the Madea character and give you a sort of rundown on where the best ones are and where the worst ones are. Because, listen, you need to dive into these. You need to understand them too. Because I promise, they're not like any other movies you've ever seen. So, today, I'm gonna tell you which ones to watch. So here we are at the Tyler Perry tier list. The first thing that I want to make known here is that They really don't have like all the titles. I'm pretty sure he's made a lot of stuff. And of course the theater stuff isn't gonna make it in here. There's just like a whole host of stuff that isn't gonna make it in here. But these are the main titles, and I do know just about everything there is to know about all of these. I think it'll be fine. These movies take place in a whole fucking universe, and he was doing this, back when Marvel was just starting to do this. His movies all take place in this weird universe where nothing makes sense and everything is topsy-turvy, and God is an old grandma who hates children. It's kind of like weirdly Krampus-like. I don't understand it either. Anyway, so with that, understand that there are characters. Lots of characters, and most of them are played by Tyler Perry. Okay, so understand that there's a character named Brian. Brian is Tyler Perry, just Tyler Perry in the flesh. Then you got Medea, Grandma, God. Then you've got Joe, pot smoking, Grandpa. Kind of strange, this character. And then there's a whole host of weird other characters that are sometimes played by Tyler Perry and sometimes played by other people. And they're nightmares. They're all fucking nightmares. And I honestly don't even know what they're satirizing. And I've genuinely asked this question like a billion times to many, many people. And I've been like, hi, I would love your input on this. What the fuck is Tyler Perry satirizing? Short answer, no one can fucking tell me. Because so much of it is like really not great. And also really not very motivated. The weird thing about Tyler Perry too is that his movies are incredibly lazy. And that's a strange thing to say about a filmmaker that I like, but it's true that he is incredibly lazy. His movies, there are some shots in his movies that are like out of focus, out of complete laziness. There's a lot of audio in his movies that's just bad because the boom mic they used, sometimes maybe it wasn't plugged in and they just used the on-camera for this shot. I don't know, but sometimes they're using the on-camera mic and sometimes they're using a boom and sometimes it looks cinematic and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can see the lights, sometimes you can't. Sometimes actors fuck up their lines and they just keep on going. It is a disaster. And one time I heard tell that Boo! A Medea Halloween was shot over the course of 4 days. Now, I could be wrong. That could be just something I heard, but I've seen the movie, and I'm not surprised by that fact. So Meet the Browns is gonna go in the A tier. Meet the Browns is kind of a decent introduction to Tyler Perry. I actually feel like this is a good like second or third movie for him. You want to kind of get in the door before you really get. Okay, hold on. Let's just start over. All right, so Diary of a Mad Black Woman is going in the S tier because Diary of a Mad Black Woman is like one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen in my life. It's a movie that I stopped what I was doing to pay attention to, even though I turned it on as a joke. Now, at this time in history, Tyler Perry kind of had a reputation for making pretty bad movies. Like, I'm gonna call it the late 2010s. And so when I finally watched this, I was so genuinely shocked at what he got away with on screen because it seems like no one was ever really watching him. It's kind of amazing. So like every character in it makes like next to no sense. It's like a Lifetime movie. It's like a husband and wife drama, but the husband is like the most comically evil man on the planet, but the wife is like, is she like really, really dumb or is she really, really self-empowered? It's hard to tell. The characters are really inconsistent, but don't worry because about halfway through the movie we get introduced to Madea and everything gets better. And when I say everything gets better, I mean Madea is a psychopath who will murder everybody on screen, has the worst advice you've ever heard in your life, and will absolutely tell you the advice and not let you choose something else. There's a whole lot of like weird comedy bits in it where it's like, okay, I get that this is funny. Also, Tyler Perry is saying this because he thinks this is true. So I'm just gonna cut to a scene of Madea chainsawing up a couch. It's a great fucking movie. This is the one. This would be the if you've seen Mulholland Drive, this is the girl. This is the one. You watch this one. Watch this one first. I would say this one is the primary objective. Meet the Browns is gonna go in the A category. Now this one is stark and shocking because he does a lot of the same things that he was doing in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. But here's the difference. Diary of a Mad Black Woman is not directed by Tyler Perry. That's right. He is in the movie. It is his whole thing, but he didn't direct it. He kind of gave it to somebody else, and that somebody else had a little bit of a cinematic eye. Tyler Perry, on the other hand, has no cinematic eye. So when it comes over to Meet the Browns, he is way in over his head, and he has no idea how to make a very good movie. I'm sorry, but it's true. However, he does have his friends come over and play really scary characters. Particularly Mr. Brown, who is the scariest character in anything ever because I genuinely don't understand what he is satirizing. He weirdly comes across potato-like to me, and I don't know why. It's just he's got this potato quality to me, and it's like I imagine that if you were to bake him, he would be a delicious baked potato, and I hate that. I've done too many psychedelics. Have some coffee. So the last thing to say about Meet the Browns is that it's kind of also the story of Diary of a Mad Black Woman. A lot of these have a weird tendency to be about a kind of I don't know, pseudo-empowered black woman deciding to leave her husband or getting kicked out by her awful, evil husband, and then deciding to make her way in the world using the Browns or Tyler Perry's family or Madea or something like that and her guidance to change. She's basically like the alchemist in The Holy Mountain. If you've seen The Holy Mountain, Madea is basically the alchemist from The Holy fucking Mountain. I can see myself being shot in the street for making that exact joke right now. I Can Do Bad All By Myself is gonna go in the C tier for me. It's pretty fucking, bad. Oh, it's pretty bad. I didn't like it very much. Now, he has a lot of movies that are kind of this variety. It's kind of like Acrimony is the same thing, but Acrimony, unfortunately, isn't on here. I would put that in the A tier, though, because Acrimony is a spicy motherfucker. But I Can Do Bad All By Myself is very much like it's got a little less color in there, or it's got a little less flavor in there. Tyler Perry has a tendency to go into these movies and add so much of his own imaginative, weird ideas, and this one, it feels like he was kind of more or less trying to make a movie for people to consume and watch, where the other ones come across like they're literally meant for space aliens. Medea Goes to Jail is gonna go in the C category as well, so we're kind of doing the bad Madea movies now, I guess. But Medea Goes to Jail is kind of a huge disappointment because, yes, there are Madea characters in it, and yes, there is a lot of Tyler Perry in it, and yes, whatever. The plot of it is so barren and weird and dumb, and it's all weirdly moralizing about, how drugs are bad and how, homelessness is an issue based on personal choice, and, very Ayn Randian. It's very... it's very pro-capitalist in a weird way, these movies. I don't even understand. They're also very anti-religious, which you wouldn't think, given that the movies seem to be very religious. And sometimes they are, but sometimes they aren't. It's very confusing. Medea Goes to Jail is, such a disappointment because, it exhibits all the bad habits of Tyler Perry. In a sentence, a friend of mine once said that Tyler Perry would make a movie called Medea Goes to Hell just so that he could have a poster that has Medea in hell on it, and then the movie would only be about 2 minutes of Medea going to hell and about 98 minutes of a woman being beaten by her husband. And that is exactly what Medea Goes to Jail is. It's not nearly as powerful as it should be, not even close to as spicy. This one's a big disappointment for me. However, huge however, such a huge however that I'm willing to scream about it. A Medea Christmas is gonna go in the B category. That's right, it's slightly better than dog shit. Okay, C isn't dog shit, I guess. They're interesting, but B. So the reason I'm putting this in the B category is because this has a scene where Madea has a conversation, a long-winded conversation with Larry the Cable Guy, and drumroll, Turns out they agree on like fucking everything. Isn't that amazing? Like, how in the fuck does that work? I really want to think about that for more than a minute. Now, I also want to say that Tyler Perry was recently in Don't Look Up, which is like really great. He was also in Gone Girl. Like, it's kind of an Adam Sandler situation where he plays the same kind of character, but this time he's good. So sometimes, like, when he's like put in a movie by a director that's not a like complete silly pants, he actually shines being the very asshole that he plays in these movies. So a Medea Christmas starts with Madea basically telling a woman that her boobs suck, which was kind of amazing because, like, on one level that's Tyler Perry in drag telling a cis woman that her boobs suck, which is fantastic. I love that. But also, like, I couldn't do that shit. I would get in so much trouble, but Tyler Perry can fucking do it. This is bullshit. This is a double standard. Let me tell you what, drag performers get it so good in this country. Boo Medea Halloween goes straight to the S tier for me. So this is like the pinnacle, the peak, the best it can be. Boo Medea Halloween is a moral nightmare. Like, everything that they try to say in the movie is so very, very both muddled and bad. Like, bad choices all around, just general mistakes. Nobody's happy, nobody wins, and the majority of the movie, and I am not shitting you, my friends, I am not shitting you, and this is why I say that it was shot in 4 fucking days. The whole movie takes place in the living room. Now, I know you're thinking there's no way that's possible. There's no way that the whole movie takes place in the living room. That would be incredibly boring. But it's true. Almost, I would say a good 60 to 75% of the movie takes place in the same living room, in the same 5 angles. So we're talking about a movie so profoundly lazy. He didn't even move the camera but like 6 fucking times, and people paid to watch it. This is on Blu-ray, and I don't even know why. So this is like a disaster piece for him. Like, this is one of my, like, but here's the thing. He knows that he doesn't really need to have much of a cinematic eye. It's not about that, really. It's about his character work. It's all about him and his friends dressing up in strange old people costumes and reaping havoc. And let me tell you what, this movie, oh my god, the jokes they fucking make. Oh man, there's like transphobic jokes. There's like fucking, oh, there's weed jokes, there's sex jokes, there's like, oh man, it's a big old disaster piece, let me tell you. So, like, Tyler Perry has this tendency to make these jokes to himself, and like, so there's this like long history of this, like comedians using themselves as kind of comedic leverage for comedic timing. Like, think like Eddie Murphy did shit like this a lot. Mike Myers did shit like this, and it is difficult to work with oneself on a comedic timing level, but also it's sometimes easier to work with oneself because you can kind of keep all the ducks in a row. You know exactly what you're going to be doing, and you can kind of communicate that to yourself. Tyler Perry acts like he is improvising with himself in like 5 different angles with 4 different characters. So I don't know what they're yelling about for most of the movie. I'm gonna just say that. I genuinely do not know what they're fucking talking about for the majority of this one. But I don't care, cause it's amazing. I highly recommend Boo a Medea Halloween. That is like his like, oh. Now, Boo 2 a Medea Halloween is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in theaters. But I'm gonna put it in the A category, cause I'm a giant bitch. All right, so Boo 2 is the biggest disappointment in history because I wanted it to be fantastic. Listen, I wanted it to be fantastic. It was not fantastic. Instead of the movie taking place entirely in like a living room, they tried to shoot it in a couple of rooms, but they forgot to use the boom mic in a couple of rooms, so there's just some onboard mic for like quite a bit of the movie. There are whole scenes in onboard mic, and they didn't even like mix the onboard mic audio, so it's just like so you're just kind of, that's just kind of amazing, really, Tyler. Come on, man. You can't do that. Yeah, so generally pretty amazing choices on display here in Boo 2 a Medea Halloween. There's also like a really weirdly rapey side narrative. I forgot to mention that both of these movies are horror movies, which is kind of great. Like, think about that for just 2 seconds and then just laugh yourself into oblivion. These characters improvising their own fear. Awesome. great. But on top of that, there's like so many opportunities for things to get all fucky wucky and spooky wooky. But for whatever reason, like Tyler just doesn't care about things being scary or even remotely threatening. So he doesn't really approach it like that. So it's not like a horror comedy. It's not even really a comedy. And it's not really even a horror movie. It's kind of a weird moralizing like tale about something. I don't even know what he's on about. Anyway, Boo 2, big disappointment, but it's pretty good after Boo 1 if you have very low expectations, which, listen, by this point, I sure do. I have those low expectations. Medea's family reunion is going to go in the C category. It is fairly forgettable. When Tyler is good, Tyler is really good, but a lot of his movies just kind of are filler, and I think that a lot of that comes from the fact that he did a lot of stuff for theater, and then he just sort of translated it all over, and they kind of did it in a shoddy and kind of quick way. And also, it's very notable that Tyler Perry fucking hates Madea. Did I not mention this? Tyler Perry fucking hates Madea and does not like being Madea. Like, he hates her. He would like to kill her and has frequently threatened, and I think he even has, at times, killed Madea in the past. This is amazing to me because he's made so many movies with her. So there are so many of these where he made them knowing that deep down he hated her, didn't want to dress up as her, and didn't want to do the bit. For instance, like the way that Madea even was invented was like back in the days of theater for him, he like an actress didn't show up, so he just did her role for her and did a really great job, and people started to laugh at it, and then his whole like career took a big old left turn. So understand that there was a point in Tyler Perry's career where he was doing serious dramatic work and that was important to him. And then he became a drag performer out of nowhere. Now, Tyler Perry hates drag performers, it seems. He seems very homophobic. He makes a lot of homophobic jokes in his movies. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that he's not in love with the fact that his success is all based around the fact that he's a drag performer. So he copes with that by making his movies like way overly dramatic and then kind of peppering in the Madea. But he doesn't understand that he's terrible at drama. He's also terrible at being Madea, but at least Madea is entertaining. So the reason Medea's family reunion ends up in the C tier is because it is like the epitome of that particular conflict. He wants dramatics, they're boring. Medea's less boring, but she's not in the fucking movie. A Medea family funeral is going to go in the S tier. Now, I'm going to admit something to you, my friends, and I don't do this very often, but I'm going to just step back as a critic, as someone whose people respect my opinion. Did you know that? They respect what I have to say about these movies, and I can't fuck up. So, because the standard is so high, I have to admit, I was so drunk watching a Medea family funeral in the theater that I don't even remember how I made it home. I'm pretty sure I was driven home by someone, but I was so excited for a Medea family funeral that I accidentally pre-gamed a little bit of alcohol. And then when I got there, I was like, well, when in Rome, we're about to watch a Medea movie, I might as well have myself a swill. And I had one, and then found myself lambasted and shit-faced about 2 minutes into the movie. And then the movie was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I don't really remember an awful lot of it, except that Tyler Perry invented a new character in it that was the funniest character in the history of characters. Who's like a horny, weird Vietnam vet who's got like a thing in his voice, I think, which is like ableist. It's horrible, and it's all. I'm gonna even go out on a weird limb here, and I listen. Tyler Perry is black. Why is his stuff weirdly racist against black people? So this is like what I mean. It's like I don't think this is supposed to be funny at all. So it was just like such a problematic nightmare, and I was so drunk that it became amazing experience because the whole movie was centered around how people died while fucking. This was apparently like such a huge thing in Tyler Perry's family that they had to do a whole bunch of moralizing bullshit for the whole movie while also doing comedy, just nightmarish stuff. Medea Family Funeral, I'm gonna recommend it. I'm gonna say that it's one of the best ones. However, big however, you might want to get absolutely shit-faced because if you don't, you're gonna have to remember it. And I don't know if you're gonna like that. I think this is Medea's Big Happy Family. So this one's gonna go in A. This one's gonna go in the B. I changed my mind. So this one's good because this one's got all of the Tyler Perry staples in it. It's got all of his characters in it. There's like some pretty solid work in here. I would say this is probably one of his like very utilitarian movie. It's very all around. You go in and watch this one. It's got the bad drama that you hate. That's really lame and problematic and dumb. And then you've also got the terrible drag performance, which is awful and terrible, but you've also got bad comedy, which you love, but smattered in there, you also have character work where the characters are mean-spirited and hateful to each other to such a degree that it becomes almost hysterical in like a phantasmagorical way, like, wow, these people fucking hate each other, but they sure love each other. I don't know what to make of that one there, sister. Anyway, so Big Happy Family is very much the epitome of Madea wants to kill the person in the drive-through line because Madea is ultimately a Karen. Madea is a Karen? Can we agree? Everybody? Anybody? Hey, anybody in the house? Madea is a Karen, right? Yeah, she's a fucking Karen, I'm telling you. So like she Karens out in a drive-through and it's like, here you go. And she Karens out at her house and tells everybody that they got to live their life differently. And it's like, who told you? So it's like Mother God kind of vibe. It's like the epitome of the bad vibe. The epitome of the God. I hope I never have a Madea in my fucking family. Jesus. And then Medea's Witness Protection. God, how to end on a thud. This one's also going to plop in the C category because this one's also kind of just not the best. Like, this one's super boring. So the boring ones kind of fall by the wayside a lot of the times, and I can't help that. But God, when he's good, these, oh my God, these S, A, and B, oh no, they're so intense. They're so very, very, very intense as far as like the Medea-ness goes. They're absolute hell. You have to watch these. If you watch those three at the top, you will leave a changed person. I can almost guarantee it. So, look, I didn't cover all of the stuff because they weren't all on the tier list, but in the future, perhaps I will do more if maybe somebody needs to make like a master tier list of like all of the Madea stuff and it's just like, here, go wild. I hit my piano. But if I can recommend a couple other things real quick, I got to give a shout out to Think Like a Man 2. I think it's called Think Like a Man 2. Okay, so I'm like looking it up here, and apparently Tyler Perry, while still hating Madea and having threatened to kill her off many, many times, and having actually very literally killed her off, I believe, he has a new Madea movie hitting on Netflix on February 25th, he has tweeted. So get ready for that, my friends. I guess we're gonna have to do this whole shit again. That's great. That's just fantastic. So while we're here, I want to just take a look here and see if there's anything we missed that I'm like, hey, you gotta check this out. Okay, Why Did I Get Married is like the most hateful movie, but listen, Why Did I Get Married 2 is the most hateful movie I think I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, genuinely one of the most hateful movies. The end of it has like people getting abused, and then somebody gets hit by a car, and then that's played off as like a good thing but also simultaneously a bad thing. But then afterward they're like, well, sometimes people die anyway, moving on. And then she meets Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and they get married. It's fucking crazy. Why Did I Get Married 2 is ooh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, Acrimony is another really, really good highlight. Like, this is about a crazy bitch. Like, literally, that's literally it. Like, it's literally, very literally about a crazy bitch. And the movie's like, starts off with like, every time a black woman gets angry, she's called a crazy bitch. And then the whole movie goes on for Tyler Perry to be like, okay, but check it out. She's a crazy bitch though. So it's like, is she an analysis character on that stereotype, or is she just the stereotype? It's hard to tell, Tyler. And with that, I think that'll complete the tier list. I think that in and of itself ought to do it. Like, I think I covered all the things. So if you like this video, please give it a like. I have been working real fucking hard lately to make the good content and the good music, which brings me to topic number 2. My music is now on CD. That's right. I know that this is like old media, but But listen, physical media is cool. I will sign it for you and I will give it to you. And that's pretty cool. I only have these, like so far, I have a bunch of copies of them, but I only have these CDs at the moment, like the last 4 that I made, but I'm planning on doing more legacy stuff. Also planning on vinyl, t-shirts, cassettes. I've been trying to do music my whole life as like a more serious thing. So this month has been very much me working on that, but also I did this. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing and thank you for stopping by and checking out my stuff. I sure love ya. You're still as cute as the first day we met. Did you know that? Just gorgeous. Anyway, I'll see y'all around. Support me on Patreon. Goodbye.